Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video I want to show you how to level up as a Toxic Rain and Caustic Arrow Raider. And the reason why I decided to make this video separately from the endgame version is because I'm gonna be using this build for Endless Ice and then for Simulacrums, and you don't have to use Toxic Rain for that. You can also do just normal mapping, so if you are not planning to do Endless Ice, you can still use this guide just for leveling and then make your own version at the endgame. Also, I want to make these videos very detailed, so I figured it is gonna make sense to just make them into different parts and also make them shorter. So here is the PoB, which I'm gonna link in the description, and obviously you can see the leveling for different versions, so level 12, normal lab, cruel lab, and up to Merc lab. And in the skills section you can see every single skill, at what point you should start using them, and it is the same thing at the nodes. Also here you can get the copy-paste text for the vendor when you're going to be searching for a thrilling and for movement speed boots. And in terms of the items, you don't really need anything during the campaign. Pretty much everything is just going to be life resist items. If you can, obviously try to get tabula, and in terms of the weapon, you also actually don't really need anything. You only care about the attack speed on your weapon, which means short bow, which you can actually get in Act 1, can actually get you even up until the maps. The only mod that you would care to get on it would be suffix increase attack speed. Other than that, you can even just get resists. So again, you can finish the campaign even with just short bow. Okay, so now let's talk about just the progression. So I'm just gonna go through every single step what you should do during the campaign. So when you're gonna start, you're gonna be level 2, you're gonna go to the vendor and you're gonna take Caustic Arrow first. And then you're gonna put this text in here and you're gonna search for a thrilling, and unfortunately here I didn't get one. So what do you do in this case if you don't get the thrilling? So you just use this bow and you're gonna remove Burning Arrow and you're gonna put Caustic Arrow in here. Whatever you got from the previous boss, you can start using it, but it doesn't really matter. And you're just gonna save your Burning Arrow in here. Do not sell it. After that, you're gonna go to the coast and just continue with the game. So you're gonna go through the coast to the mudflats, finish the quest, go to the submerged passage, and then use the waypoint to go back to the coast. After that, you finish the tidal island, and then you go back to town. You're gonna be fighting Hailrake. You want to use Caustic Arrow, and if you find something like this, let's say the green gloves, you're gonna use Burning Arrow. So now you're gonna use both Caustic Arrow and Burning Arrow, all of them together, so that you just stack the damage over time. This is way faster than just using the Caustic Arrow. Then you're gonna just pick up all of the items and go back to town, either with a portal or just with logging out. So the exit to character selection and just go back. After that, you pick up the quest reward. So in here you take the Quicksilver Flask and the Mirage Archer. You actually don't want to use Onslaught, because when you're gonna be killing stuff with Caustic Arrow, when damage over time, so the Caustic Ground kills enemies, Onslaught doesn't actually proc. You would have to kill something with your initial hit, which means Onslaught is most of the time not gonna be procced. So just pick Mirage Archer, and in here you want to pick up the Puncture, and from the second reward, Dash. And the most important thing here is to be able to use Dash, obviously after you level up. Right now I am level 3, so you're gonna go back to the leveling zone and start using Dash. So I would put it in here. And then the next most important thing is Mirage Archer for your thrilling. Also you can go to the vendor and check again for the thrilling. Unfortunately this is a sword, so I didn't get one in here. But every single time you are in town, you want to check for the red, green, red, which you are gonna need later, and green, link, which you need right now. Also, at this point, you can go to the Nessa and buy Steel Skin. If you have one wisdom scroll, and you have one red socket. Steel skin doesn't matter that much, but if you have one socket and one spare wisdom scrolls, why not? We can just use it for some extra defenses. Now I am level 4, so I am gonna equip my Quicksilver, Dash, and I have also a 3-socket helmet, so I'm gonna use Puncture. I actually prefer Mirage Archer instead of Pierce, so I'm gonna put it in here so it can still level up for later. And I need Strength to equip my Steel Skin, and this is why you also want to early on go here for the additional 20 Strength. But if you can't find it, you can also get a amulet or ring or whatever with just some additional strength so you can use it. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it in here. Now the way you want to play with Mirage Archer is you just shoot once to your target and then you let Mirage Archer to shoot for a little bit of time and then you shoot again and just let Mirage Archer do most of the job. This is where you're gonna save a lot of time just not having to shoot yourself, just rely on Mirage Archer. Here in this cave, once you reach the stairs, you want to put the portal in here, so later on you can go back here to do the quest for the skill point. And you go up the stairs, and here there is always gonna be the entrance to the next zone. When you reach the lower prison, you want to go back to town and talk to the vendor again, check for the thrilling. Hopefully I'm gonna get one this time. Unfortunately, still no thrilling. So it is a pretty unlucky run. But I guess in this case you can still see that you can still continue the campaign even without the thrilling. And here as a reward you're gonna pick the Void Manipulation. If you have a level and socket, just put it on somewhere so you can continue leveling it up. But for now you are not gonna be using it. And then you want to go to the portal that we left at the Submerged Passage, and now you want to go to the side of the these steps, and you should be able to find the entrance to the zone where you have to kill the extra boss. So here you can see it is gonna be to the top. Now the way you want to fight the Dweller is you want to use Caustic Arrow, Burning Arrow, and Puncture in a rotation. So basically 1, 2, 3, and you want to stay away from the boss so that Puncture is gonna deal more damage when the target is moving. But you also want to keep the Caustic Arrow underneath him. Now we're back to town again. You take the reward and again you check for the thrilling. And here I actually got one in here. I actually would not take this one because it costs transmutation and it is 1.3 attacks per second, so I actually would not use a longbow. The crude bow would be better, but preferably you would want to find a short bow at this point. You could also buy something like this and use chromatic orb if you have, so you can get the thrilling. But here fortunately I got the gloves, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the Caustic Arrow, Mirage Archer, and Pierce, and I'm gonna be leveling Void Manipulation. And you can swap out the Void Manipulation and something like Pierce or Mirage Archer. I think I would swap out Pierce for bosses, so when you're gonna be fighting Brutus. So now we are back at the prison, so we're gonna look for the first Labyrinth trial and the boss. And in terms of tree, this is how it should look like. Just go all the way to the right because you want as much damage as possible when you're gonna be fighting Brutus. So we are at level 8. Obviously you might be here at level maybe 7, maybe 6. So it doesn't matter too much. So when you are gonna be fighting Brutus, the idea is pretty much the same as with the Dweller. So you're just gonna use your Caustic Arrow, Burning Arrow, Puncture, and just make him run while still making sure he is in the caustic ground. So this is just the best way to kill him. After you're done with the fight, you want to go back to town and take the reward. So here you're gonna take the smoke mine, and again you want to check for the free link. If you don't have movement speed boots, you still obviously want to check for the movement speed. I actually was lucky and I did drop one. You also still need one item with 2 green and 1 red socket, so a free link. And even if you find something like a chest, which normally you wouldn't use because it reduces your movement speed, but if you find a chest and you don't get anything else on your way, you're just gonna have to end up using a chest for your free link. So this is why in here I'm gonna sell everything, but I am actually gonna keep the chest for possible free link once I get level 12. And then you're gonna go to the Nessa, and here you want to buy Withering Step. This is the highest priority, so if you just have one transmutation orb, just buy Withering Step and that's it. But if you have some extra, you can also buy Vitality. And even if you feel like it, you can also use a Blink Arrow on top of the Smoke Mine, but I personally at this point don't really like using Blink Arrow. So you want to put Withering Step if you have the sockets, so you can see I have them, I just need 1 more level. But if you don't have sockets, actually at this point you can even remove the pierce, not the pierce, the Burning Arrow and the Puncture. You don't really gonna need them anymore. And also you can remove Void Manipulation if you need a socket, because you only care about leveling it, you are not really using it at this point. Now here I have enough strength with the Primal Spirit, so I can start using Vitality. So now I am actually gonna remove Steel Skin. If I had an extra red socket, I would go for it. Here I don't think it is worth it to equip the chest, just to use a Steel Skin. Extra movement speed is better. Now when you reach the Cavern of Wrath, you want to go back to town, and this is basically your last chance to get the 1 red, 2 green.
Welcome.
So again, you would check the vendor, and at this point you can buy the Toxic Rain. You might be still level 11 at this point, so you might just have to continue with the campaign to equip Toxic Rain, but if you already have enough level, you can put it in here. You also are gonna go to Nessa and buy the Ballista Totem. So you put Ballista in here and you get your Void Manipulation, which we have been leveling up until this point, and start using it. And at this point, for your single target, you're gonna use Toxic Rain and Caustic Arrow, so you can pretty much just remove Puncture and the Burning Arrow if you are gonna need some extra sockets, but for now I don't really need them, so I might as well keep them so you can get some extra damage. Here you can see for single target I'm just putting 3 ballistas, then use my Caustic Arrow and then Withering Step to increase my damage. So as you could see, I didn't even have time to use my Burning Arrow or the Puncture. This is why you don't really need them at this point anymore. And for the Merveil, it's the same thing, just spawn 3 ballistas, Casting Ground, and run through with the Withering Step. And always make sure to check count of your ballista, because they are gonna die from time to time, so you can respawn them. And again, make sure also you have your Mirage Archer always up. So just run through the Merveil with Withering Step, keep up your ballistas, and keep up your Mirage Archer so he can keep spawning the Caustic Ground. Also, if you need a little bit more survivability, you can use your Smoke Mine defensively, because it is gonna make your enemies blind, so they are gonna miss more often. When you reach Act 2, you want to go to the right, because you want to go to Chamber of Sins first, because we're gonna get our first quest rewards from over there. After that, you want to go to the right for the Labyrinth Trial, and then to the top to kill the first bandit, and then to the left. And by the way, we are killing all. So you're gonna kill the guy in here, then Alira, and then the Oak. Also, when you encounter Den, you want to go for it, because here from the quest reward, you're gonna get the second Quicksilver Flask, which you want to use in here. So after you're done with the den and you reach the waypoint at the crossroads, you can go back to town. If you need still a thrilling or a movement speed boost, you can check in here at the vendor. Otherwise, you just go in here to take your second Quicksilver Flask. And that's pretty much it. And then you continue to Chamber of Sins. When you're done with Chamber of Sins, you go in here and you're gonna get your Blood Rage, and you want to buy Skitter Bots. Skitter Bots are gonna increase your damage, so if you have the blue socket at this point, which you can see I don't have, so I'm actually gonna start looking for a green socket, I mean a blue socket, preferably either on a weapon or helmet, because I have a free links in here. You're gonna start using that aura. After you kill the Weaver, you want to go back to town and take the Vicious Projectiles. And once you get level 18, you want to replace the Void Manipulation with Vicious Projectile. Also, you want to really focus on getting a short bow. Usually you actually get short bow in Act 1, but in this case I'm still using my crude bow, but short bow has 1.5 attack speed, so it's gonna be good enough. And like I said earlier, you don't really care about the mods. But this one is actually nice because it also has a blue socket, which I'm gonna use for my Skitter bot, and actually I'm gonna use second one later for the Despair. So I'm gonna put Blood Rage now in here and Smoke Mine, and then I'm just gonna wait for leveling Vicious Projectile. Also, you can use your old bow in your weapon swap, so later if you want to level up some gems, you can put them in here. After you kill the Alira and Oak, you go back to town and you get your additional 2 points. And I guess this is a good point to talk about some choices that you have in here. So first of all, earlier I just took the Aspect of Eagle, Primal Spirit for attributes, and then you can actually start going to the top. But what I also like to do is I like to take these life points, which to be honest don't really matter, you don't actually need them, but I go in here for additional attack speed and movement speed. So here you can actually get 9% movement speed and some additional spell suppression, which is decent, but you mostly go for it for movement speed. You can even get this one for 3% if you feel like it, but I just choose to go for these two. And then you go to the top, and here you also have a choice. You can go either to the top or to the right. If you go to the right, you can actually take the 10% increased movement speed if you haven't taken damage recently mastery, which is gonna give you even more movement speed. But if you want more damage early on, you're gonna go to the left for damage over time multi, and then to the top for damage over time. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much which order you go for, because later on you're gonna go in here anyway. You're also gonna take all of these points anyway. So when you look at my 3 in PoB, around normal lap, you're gonna have all of these anyway. It just depends which order you want to go for. And I personally prefer to go to the bottom first, then to the right for movement speed. Then I take these points for dot multi and area damage. You don't actually need this master area, but it's nice for some additional clear for your Caustic Arrow. And then I go to the left for chaos damage over time multi, and then to the top. And here you actually can take this Chaos Mastery, which gives you +1 level, but it's gonna make you lose 10% life whenever you use Chaos skill. So this actually can hurt you a lot, but to be honest, you only need to spawn 3 ballistas every time you fight a boss, and then you just shoot Caustic Arrow and you use Withering Step just from time to time. So you don't really gonna feel the life loss. But if you want to test it out, just look how it's gonna be for you. And if you're just gonna feel like you're dying too much because of this mastery, just remove it, and you can go for increased effect of Wither, because you're gonna apply Wither with your Withering Step. So it is up to you. If you want to have more damage, but to be more risky, go for +1. Otherwise, just go for effect of Wither. So in here, I'm gonna go in here. And another important thing is, if you're gonna take this mastery, 10% damage, 10% movement speed, if you haven't taken damage recently, you actually can't use Blood Rage, because when you use Blood Rage, it is gonna damage you, so you're gonna lose that mastery. But I still like to use the gem because it gives you some additional attack speed, which you can just use it for bosses. So I just stop using Blood Rage unless I'm fighting a boss. And usually you also don't have enough gems to fit Blood Rage later on because, well, it depends on your luck. If you are unlucky and you have to remove something, first thing I always remove is Blood Rage. So I usually don't have it later on. And also, as you can see here, now I can use Vicious Projectile, so I'm gonna remove the Void Manipulation, and I'm gonna continue leveling it in my weapon swap. When you reach Act 3, the most important thing that you should focus on is getting a 4-link, so you can also check the vendor every single time you are in town, and also obviously you should look for them while killing monsters. And you have to remember that we actually need 2 4-links because we need one for the Toxic Rain setup with Ballista, and also we need one for Caustic Arrow. And for Caustic Arrow I would go for the Arrow Nova, and for the Toxic Rain I would just take the Void Manipulation from my weapon swap and also start using it. And in terms of priority, I think the Ballista Totem Toxic Rain has higher priority, because to be honest, even Caustic Arrow without the Arrow Nova already has a pretty good clear, so you don't really feel like you need it. Also, after you finish the first quest in Act 3, you will be able to get Despair. So now, once you reach level 24, you're gonna also put Despair in here, and when you're gonna fight bosses, you have to make sure you have 3 ballistas on the ground. You use your Withering Step on cooldown to affect enemy with Wither, and also Despair, pretty much any time Despair drops off. So every 9 seconds you want to use Despair, and obviously you want to make sure enemy is on caustic ground. Here I am actually gonna stop showcasing the build, because to be honest, from that point on nothing really changes. Like I said, you're gonna get your 4-link, which I actually did drop, but I need 1 more level. So you're gonna start using the Void Manipulation for your Toxic Rain, and Arrow Nova for Caustic Arrow, which actually you have to buy from the Act 1. So you just go back in here to the Nessa, and you can buy it in here for 1 transmutation.
Take care.
So after you kill the Piety around here, you're gonna go and do your normal lab. So with normal lab, you're gonna choose Raider and pick the Onslaught. So with Onslaught, movement speed here from the Mastery, and also some movement speed in here. Without the Quicksilver Flask, you're gonna have around 70% movement speed. And that's with the Smoke Mine buff. So you're actually gonna move pretty fast. And after you're gonna be done with Act 5, so in Act 6, you can remove your Vitality and Skitterbots and go for Malevolence with Grace, because at this point you're gonna be able to get the reservation points in here, so 8% in here, and you can also remove this Mastery, so movement speed, and take the Grace for 25% mana reservation, and with these 2 things you're gonna be able to use these 2 auras. Also, if you still want the movement speed, you can go in here and take this Mastery for the 10% movement speed. If you need resistances, and to be honest, I actually suggest going for around res cap, maybe 60% resist, around the moment you are gonna fight Piety. You can take these resist points. You are gonna reach this point probably around Act 6. So when you're gonna lose 30% resist from killing Kitava, this is a good way to get them back. Basically take the Sentinel and take these resist points, so you just get back your resistances. Also, I suggest going for this 1 point, even though you are going through here to Avatar of the Hunt, you still want this 1 point for the phasing, so you can go through monsters without any issues. But after you're gonna get your Merclub, so for Merclub you're gonna get your Quartz Infusion, you're gonna get phasing, so that's when you can drop it. But for the Cruel Lab, you're gonna go for Avatar of the Chase for increased Onslaught effect. So that's how your tree should look like. Around Cruel Loop, you're also gonna get your Flask Mastery, and this way you're gonna be able to remove all of your non-elemental ailment when you use Life Flask, and all of your elemental ailment when you use Mana Flask. But you can remove this one once you get the Bleed Immunity Flask. And especially you need Bleed Immunity because it's gonna also remove the Corrupting Blood. Visc Master is actually not gonna remove Corrupting Blood, so you really want the Bleed Immunity from a Life Flask, and then you can remove this and go for something like Utility Flask Recharge, or maybe Flask have 10% effect. It is, to be honest, up to you which one you want to go for. So once you go for the Merclap, you also can respec this part, and you can take these points instead, so you spend less points for traveling, and in here you're gonna go for more damage and also for the spell suppression cap. So you can see here I have 100%. You don't even need these 2 points. You can probably redo this tree a bit. Maybe you don't want these points, then you will just take these in here, or you can just take Mage Bane, but you're gonna lose some evasion. And speaking about evasion, once you get your Grace, it is also a good idea to have your Jade Flask. And actually you can get Jade Flask from doing a quest in Act 5, and then you can get Granite Flask from Act 7. So Jade Flask combined with Grace is gonna give you a ton of evasion. You actually don't need obviously the mods for additional evasion, just the base Jade Flask for 1.5k evasion is good enough. And yeah, I think that's everything. Obviously, if you have more questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, but that's gonna be it for the leveling. My next video is gonna be about Endless Heist version of the build, and then the Simulacrum one. So that's gonna be it for this one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.